I was gonna do something funny, but I can't. It's the starting soon text is static. Hello everyone. You know that they have invented emojis in Japan. Well, I don't know if that's true either. I have no clue. One would expect, you know what? Maybe emojis were a long time thing. Even before Japan had texting. Sorry, English only here. English only. But hey, nice to see you. I know you followed me at some point. It's been 84 years. It has been. It's been a very long time. Sorry about that. It took a while. I didn't mean for it to take so long, but it took a very long time. How's everyone doing? The reason why it's been taking so long, I'll get into it. Today's going to be a bit of a weird stream. There's two things happening today. Because I mods around the show. No, sorry. Nobody's getting banned. You're allowed to make you're allowed to you're allowed to make mistakes here. Okay, there's only some mistakes that you can't make, but some mistakes you're allowed to make. But welcome. Yeah, today's gonna be an interesting day. First off, stories about why it was taking so long. Second off, we're playing two games today. Stalker 2, which just came out and I've been very excited for, as well as another game that I just I for some reason was on my wish list and it came out and it looked weird. And I remembered why I saw it. It's called Golden Heart. So we'll see. But yeah, there's also going to be no cam today. Well, no VTuber cam because, as you can expect, I don't think the game is going to run well on my computer. So we're going to take it slow today. Oh God, I don't remember any of this. The hard part is I've been reading for so long. This is all foreign to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you step away from the internet to go live like a normal life. Oh no, it's muted. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was muted. Sorry. You wasted all of your Canadian Tire dollars, chat. Hello everyone. Hello. Where do I even begin? First off, there was a wedding. The wedding was actually a large proportion of why I was gone. The wedding was not just the wedding. Why do you keep wanting to play him? You know what? Actually, I wanted to do one clip. So I'll talk about this too. A lot of things happened while I was gone. There was a lot of things that went down. There's sort of gaming stuff, which is the Half-Life 2 anniversary, which is really cool. I didn't actually watch the documentary yet, but I want to. There was also the Mike Tyson fight, and I don't know if anybody saw this, but if you type Tyson inside chat, oh no, is the emote gone? Fuck, what's the emote? Shit. It's nice to hear me again. It is nice to hear me too again. Where is it? This is the only copy. It's gone! No! Oh, it was such a good emote. It was an emote where it was Tyson's ass just out there. Yeah, sorry, chat. It got deleted. It was really interesting. Yeah, that was a weird fight. Man, there's a lot of things that happened while I was gone. But the main reason why I was gone was because of the wedding. Everyone lost except Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. So true. Okay, let's just talk about Mike Tyson for a bit, okay? I saw that fight live, and I was like, okay. First off, on Netflix, it was awful because the entire system was broken. The system was awful. It was breaking constantly. Am I peaking? I have no clue if I'm peaking. And I was very disappointed by it. At the same time, I recognize it's technologically complicated, so kind of hard. You get invited to Grand Brews, you have to go? No worries. Enjoy, and hopefully you get more than 7th place. Yeah, that fight was so funny to me because from my perspective, right, the stream would lag out. I peaked before I started. Very good insult. That's a +2 insult. Every single time a punch was thrown, the stream buffered. And then when I reloaded the stream, it was after the punch. So I never got to see the results of the punch. It was like a Dragon Ball Z fight. The way that it went down, it was like cliffhanger. It was just like punch, buffer, loading, right? I'm like, oh no, what happened? I reload the stream, the punch is already done. I'm like, shit, I can see it. I can see the impact. But I wasn't missing out on that much. There wasn't really much that happened. Yeah, that fight went exactly as I expected. Mike Tyson's old. Like, as much as he's a monster, like, he's still very much a monster. You could tell, like, again, once you hit... I want to say once you're over 40, your age really starts to hit you, right? I feel it now. When I was 25 and I was still practicing, or even when I was 16 and I was actively practicing, I was clumsy, but I was a lot more active. I was much faster than I was. When I hit 22, 23, I feel like that was a lot of my prime. I was very, very quick at what I was able to do with my practice. I had really good, solid balance when I did like the kicks and stuff like that. I could do a really mean spinning back kick and like stuff, right? Nowadays, if I do it, I start to like wobble a bit. Like it's kind of hard. Using weapons is also kind of hard. Like my hand dexterity is kind of gone, so like my knife work sucks. Using the sword, I'm like I'm now actually genuinely worried about cutting my like own leg off with my sword. So there's a bit of issues there. But yeah, when you get old, it gets hard. So you're over 40? No, but I know someone who's over 40 who's well, it's funny because like they're still very fit. But compared to where they were, they're no longer scary. Like it's just like they're just an old man now. It's not scary anymore. They can try to be scary, and it's not like they can't kick someone's ass, right? But it's a lot harder than it was when you're 22. At least from like I'm closing in on 30. It's starting to feel hard for me now. So, but yeah, that fight went exactly as expected. The best parts of that fight were when Mike Tyson he was giving an interview. And then it was in the locker room. It was probably the best cinematography I've ever seen. It was such perfect camera work, okay? Because Mike Tyson doesn't give a shit. That was a natural moment, okay? So from the front, they're showing him from I want to say the belly button up, okay? Then he turns around after he's done his interview. He walks off. And the camera just like follows him. Okay, it's a live event, but they don't switch scenes immediately. But camera switches are called beforehand. So the way it always works in like a live production, somebody is telling you in your ear like, okay, camera is about to switch, and then they give like a general timeline of like 10 seconds, and then you also give them like a heads up, so they're also able to prepare too. It really depends on how they usually run it. Usually it's somebody up in the top though, because they'll say like, okay, last question. And then it's the reason why people on the ground, they'll like say stuff like, hey, well, thanks, all that, taking it back to you. And they'll elongate that moment before the camera switches because they have to give them time, right? Like a buffer time. And then they'll say, okay, go. Which means that this was very much intentional, the way that they looked at Mike Tyson's ass as he was walking away. Because when the interview was done and Mike Tyson's walking away, that's the perfect cut to almost say like, okay, good. And then the camera person has all the control to almost zoom up and stay ahead on top of the belly button to keep him within frame. Because he had no pants on. So when he walked away, it was just his ass in all of you as he's walking away. And it lingered. It lingered. It's just so long. It lingered for so long. I was like, what is going on? I was watching in disbelief. I was like, this can't be real, right? But it's so funny that they did it, and it has to be intentional. There's no other way. They must have seen a prime moment, and the person up in the room was like, wait. 3 seconds. We have to show this. Just 3 seconds. Let the legend walk off. Show his ass. Okay, good. Switch. Another thing that I noticed from the fight too, it was so funny when they were doing the interviews, okay? You want to do visual mixing for a while, still would like to one. It's a lot of fun, but it's very hard work. You need specialized equipment for it too. I'll get into that after. But the interviews given during that fight were so fascinating to me because I always love interviews with fighters, okay? There was one fighter who was there, and he was mogging the camera. He was mean mogging it, okay? I've never seen a better, I've never seen a more perfect picture for the mogging meme than that dude, okay? But at the same time, he's giving a really serious talk of like, this is when the old generation and the new generation meet together and we get to show off and really show the spirit of the sport. And then they're talking about how, when Mike Tyson slapped Jake, he was like, yeah, so when he stepped on his toe, I was like, yo, what the fuck? I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? It's just, there's something comical about the fact that at its heart, he's still like a very crass and brazen person, the person who was giving the interview. But he had to present himself as an outwardly almost representative spokesperson of the sport, despite the fact that, he was very much the same boxer as he was at heart, right? So when he said that, he was still mocking the camera and he was still speaking in like a very polite tone. It was just so funny to me because it's like Gap Moe. It's the same concept as Gap Moe, but specifically for badasses. It's specifically for like badasses, quote unquote. It's so funny to see, right? It's when you see somebody trying to act really professional, but then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck him up. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Oh man, what a great. You know what it is? I love these boxing events because it's pure buffoonery. It's just pure clownery, right? I love the clown antics at them, but I don't necessarily care for the fight itself. Because obviously, again, Mike Tyson, slow, he's old. Jake Paul, he's young, and Jake didn't even do well. Well, he did okay. He's just, but he wasn't like he's not like a crazy amazing boxer. He's just you can't beat like a 40 year old, like a 40 year age gap. It's impossible. And even if Mike Tyson was a boxer, like you saw him, like it's very hard for him to do anything. He was very slow. His legs were not the way that they were before. I mean, he has a neck now. I don't know if you guys remember, but like when Mike Tyson was huge, I remember seeing like the old stuff. He had no neck because he trained his neck to the utmost perfection to have a neck that could withstand things. This time you could actually see the bones on his neck, and I was like, whoa, that's the first time I've ever seen him have like a larynx. I was like, Jesus, that's weird. So yeah, as expected, wasn't really much of a fight. Is this where his straps make him look like he's a human mech suit? Yes, exactly that. Yeah. That, as well as just like his neck in general just had like massive muscles. Because you can train your neck and you get spine issues for the rest of your life. I never did it, even if I was getting it like slightly more than amateur. I was like, I'm not gonna go that hard because I wanted to have a life after fighting. Like honestly, it's really hard, but it's like you have to be like top 1% to make money in the fighting. And so it's very, very hard to keep doing it for a long time. And so I was like, you really don't want to do that and sacrifice it. But it doesn't matter because I'm also like 50 pounds overweight now. So it doesn't really matter? Not really. Has it really saved me much? Not really. But yeah, that's like basically it. It was a very interesting fight. Very interesting fight. I'm glad I saw that. But that wasn't the reason why I was gone. So that fight wasn't the reason why I was gone for so long. As mentioned, had to go to a buddy's wedding. Great wedding. Actually, amazing wedding. All the weddings that I've been to have been amazing. My wife and I didn't have like a traditional wedding because we didn't want to have like a very loud time. She's also still not very down for a ceremony or anything. So it's like, if we ever do like a renewal of our vows or something, we'll just do it at home with ourselves and our dog, Missy. But that wedding was cool. So it's weird to say this, but half the married couple is an artist. I say half as if there's more than two, but this is not like a polycule, okay? But she's like an artist. And so a lot of that stuff was apparently designed and DIY'd by her there. Really, really awesome stuff. That wedding was a lot of fun too, because it was one of the few times that we were able to spend time with each other as a group. This is a group that I've known since high school, and some from middle school too. So it's like a very old group where we've always been close with each other, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs. But the key is that we've all committed to staying with each other. So maybe it is like a polycule. Are they both half artists? So what's funny is that the one friend. My buddy who was the groom who was getting married, he has a really, really cool domain name, which I can't say because it would immediately dox him. And it's such a cool domain name for an artist, but he doesn't do art. He's so bad at it. Not that he's like bad at it, but like he's amateur like me. And like I'm amateur. You've seen my art. It's pretty bad. But it's funny because he has a domain name that's so perfect for the art. And his wife now, like, she just has like a Gmail account, and it's just like, yeah, it's whatever. But her art is like amazing. So she makes like a bunch of really cool stuff too. She makes like keycaps and stuff like that. She makes a lot of really cool stuff. But yeah, so it was a great time to meet people. I saw the mod there. The mod today is going to be late as well. She won't be home until she's working now until 9 p.m. our time. 8 p.m. our time, I think. So she won't be on for like the next 7-8 hours. So I'm streaming late today for her because she also missed me. My friends. It was weird. Okay, so it was strange. So before the wedding or like after the wedding, we also had like time to hang out. But I'll talk about the wedding phase. Even during the wedding, they were talking to me about my stream, and I was like, okay, maybe this is not the place to talk about it. Because they all know that I stream, but I was like, I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, guys. So we were just talking about life and stuff, and it was a really cool wedding because the ceremony was interesting. Because it's hard to explain if you're not in a place that has like a multicultural aspect. But it's like, if you're Canadian and you're Asian, there's like different customs that you kind of want to follow because they're both a part of your identity. So they did the traditional Chinese ceremony as well as the traditional Western ceremony, or like, I don't know, like a North American, I guess like Canadian ceremony. it was funny because like there was a I think it was his boss, my buddy's boss was sitting beside me, and he was explaining to his buddy who or his partner or something. He was like, "What is the meaning of the tea ceremony?" Because like again, for the rest of us, we knew what the meaning of the tea ceremony was. But even behind me, another buddy of mine from high school who is not Asian, we like I heard my buddy from middle school explain to him what is the point of a tea ceremony. It's just funny to me that like we have to explain these things because for us it's so normal. But that's sort of why it was such a interesting and very cool ceremony, I think, because it combines so many different disparate aspects of our lives, of our identities, right? Very, very, it was a very, very sweet thing. They had to go through like a million costume changes. It was so hard for them. They looked genuinely stressed, and they had like it seemed like they were very tired. And then we found out after, like, yeah, they were really tired because the very next day they had to wake up at like a really early time. They only got like five hours of sleep. It was like a whole mess, but they had a lot of fun, which was good. And we all had a lot of fun too. We went to the ceremony, went to the dinner. It was in a very cool place. I can't say what, but I will say that dinner was extremely good. There was a lot of good food and a lot of good hanging out. I had like 8 9 drinks. The drinking was funny because everyone got crunk really really fast. I don't know how to explain this, but like everyone seems to pull me in for drinks, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And everyone wants to drink, but they don't want to go alone, so they come to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So while other people are on their fourth or fifth drink, I'm on my eighth or ninth drink, and I'm like, I don't know about this one. It's funny too because at the wedding, I can talk about the suits a little. I showed up in like a black suit because it's just sort of like the only thing that I have on hand that was still like good. And it's funny because I'm not the only one. My other buddy from high school, he showed up in, we called him the priest. We were like, yo, you should have gotten this guy to officiate your wedding. He was in a black turtleneck, with like a suit jacket on top and a golden cross necklace. We were like, yo. And so the running joke was that I was his underling. Because I was in a black suit and then he was in the priest getup, and so we were role playing as like he was my boss and I was his like underling. It was so fucking funny. Oh man. But yeah, way too many drinks. My buddy in front of me, he kept going for drinks with us, and he thought he could handle it, but he couldn't. So he started to get like really tired and sick and sweaty. Had to take care of him. He didn't vomit, but he started to fall asleep, and well, not fall asleep, but he was getting very, very tired. Got very hot. Had to step aside in the cold, like winter air to cool him off. Very interesting stuff. Food was great too. There was the creme brulee instance, which was so funny to me because so the entire wedding, right? It's so weird to me that still that the groom and the bride they have to sit in the middle of the entire room where people can just come up and like bother them because they're trying to eat and stuff, right? But like we circled them so much. And like it felt like it was primarily us that circled them, his like friend group, because it was just, I don't know, we just like to circle them and like talk to them because this is what we do anyways. IRL is we just talk all the time, right? So it was just funny to sort of see, but we're just there and they're trying to eat their food and stuff, and I feel so bad for them both. But at some point, they brought out the desserts of creme brulee. And so the groom came over and he's like, yo, do you want extra? Because that table over there, they had to leave early because the baby was crying. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take one. It's good. And it's a massive creme brulee. I've never seen a larger creme brulee in my life that was cooked to perfection. It was done in those beautiful, I forget the name of the cups, but like, it's those flat ones. It was very much French style, very, 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 very Parisian style, where it's a much larger ramekin. That's the term. It's a much larger, flatter ramekin. And so you get basically like a small plate of creme brulee. And then they got two, okay? Then my other buddy who was sitting across from me, he didn't see the second one, but he didn't want his creme brulee because he was getting full after the steak. And so he brought it over. But I was like, no, I have two, but he didn't hear me. So he gets to my side. He has to walk, because I'm sitting against the wall in the corner, because, I think my buddy realized I probably need to have my own space because I'm kind of anxious, right? He has to walk out into the main middle, all the way down this long table, all the way back to the corner. He gets to me, looks down, sees I have two creme brulees. He's like, bro, I didn't know you have two. Hands me the third creme brulee. And I'm like, okay, this is too much creme brulee. Now I'm starting to panic, okay? There's too much creme brulee. I'm thinking about how am I gonna down 3 creme brulees in the next half an hour before the dance party starts. I tried, I couldn't do it. I was too tired for the dance, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna make it. Right? I only got down to 2 creme brulees, and then they brought out coffee for the dance, and I was like, I'm getting kind of tired. I'll just have some like some nice espresso. Bad mistake. That was the worst idea ever. I got really tired after because coffee doesn't work for me. And I should have known this because coffee never really works for me. And I was like, okay, look, I got do this. I bailed on the wedding early after a couple of other people bailed. It was like right after the final ceremony bits. I missed it on poutine. Kind of sad. Should have stayed for the poutine, but I forgot. But it was a solid wedding. Solid wedding. I left at the same time as some other friends of mine, so because we had to go and fairly busy schedule. They stayed up until 2 a.m. and then the groom had to get up at 8 a.m. two of his other friends and but one is also my mutual friend. They stayed all the way for the entire ceremony, and they got crunk. And it's the same two people who get crunk every single time. And I was like, I'm not getting that crunk tonight because we have too many plans for the entire week. So then we had to go spend time with some other friends and stuff like that. There was one moment, I think, before the wedding, we went to go eat at a place. It was kind of cool, as well as after. Before the wedding, I forget where we ate. I have no clue. What the fuck did we do before the wedding? What did we do? What the fuck? I don't know. We did something before the wedding. I have no clue anymore. But it was fun. It was a lot of good food, and we hung out and stuff. I think. Did I? What the fuck did I do before the wedding? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So we went. It was cool and stuff. After the wedding, there was also another hangout. So the entire week was just hanging out because at the same time, a couple of our buddies from the States flew over. So that was a lot of things to do as well. Oh, you know what? The thing before the wedding was we went to this really cool Korean restaurant. The owner was so nice because we have friends from Montreal, friends from the States. We were hanging out with them, eating. It's sort of why I was taking my time because we don't get to see them very often for obvious reasons. Despite the fact that they play games, or like we play games with them pretty much all the time. The owner was really, really humbled by the fact that they came all the way over. It was so funny too because I'm the trash can of the group. So this is the restaurant story. So we get to this Korean restaurant. It's a new place that we're trying out because we saw the reviews were good. People said it was good. Okay, we go in. We're like we have no clue what to do. Play some board games. We go in and we eat. Everyone orders their food. I'm like, I'm going in. I'm going for the bulgogi. I know what I want. I know what's good. I know what never misses. Okay. Some people get the black bean noodles. Some people get the bibimbap. The bibimbap was amazing. Some people get the soups. The sundubu. It's okay, right? The black bean noodles wasn't bad, but I didn't care. I finished my stuff. I was still kind of hungry. I was like, yo, I might go for round two. Everyone's like, yo, no need. We're gonna give you our food because I'm the group trash can. You have leftover food, I'll eat it. I don't care where your mouth has been. I just need you to be free of any illnesses, okay? Which is also another part of the reason why I was gone. I'll get into that. So I'm eating all this like trash can food, all these leftovers, right? The owner keeps coming back to say like what's up and stuff, and he sees me eating all of the, like everyone else's leftovers. He's like, hey man, you still hungry? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm like fine. He's like, no man, listen, if you want food, listen, I'm gonna make enough money tonight because the place was like full. If you want something, you tell me, I'll give you something for free. And I was like, no, it's okay, like just pass it on, right? But he sees me still going for it. And the guy was really cool. But then he came back and he was sort of humbled by the story of that our friends are from the States and from Montreal. And he was like, thank you for eating at my restaurant, even though they weren't there for him. It was very funny. But it was also like heartbreaking or like heartwarming too, because he was saying how his mother had passed. It was like she was the previous owner. So he gave my buddy's baby like a $1 or $2 Canadian bill, which doesn't exist anymore. It's a very, very old concept. We have coins now. Coins are a bit of a self-defense mechanism too. We're not allowed to own many things for self-defense, but the coins are made of metal, so you can whip them pretty fast. But he got a bill for it, and so it was like, oh, okay, nice. He started tearing up. Then he gave all of us free food. And what's funny is before he did, he was like, hey, look, I'm not going to put just you in the spot. Watch. I'll make it up to you. I'm going to put the entire table on the spot. And so he just made this giant speech in front of the entire restaurant. And we were all like, we don't know what to do. But he was very sweet. So we didn't want to like shut him down. But it was also like, oh, this is like interesting. This is a very interesting situation to be in. And he gave us like a cool free like a snack. It was good. What's funny is that the entire time, my friend in front of me, she was like, "Sweet destination." She was like, "Yeah, the black meat noodles suck." She just kept saying the black meat noodles suck right in front of everybody. As the waiter's passing by, as the owner's walking by, she's like, the black bean noodles suck, and I was like, oh no. They squandered their kindness on this mongrel. They squandered this kindness on this barbarian over here who doesn't appreciate food. I was like, Jesus Christ. But it was kind of bad. Like it wasn't as flavorful as most places. But you know, it was interesting to sort of see the dichotomy between how nice he was and how like pretty vicious my friends were. As we're leaving too, he was cool because he was sitting down with to eat and drink with another family. So shook his hand on the way out. I've never heard someone say hello and goodbye in 20 languages before him. Every single language, he asked everyone what language they speak at every single table, and I just kept hearing like different phrases that I recognized from a Duolingo app. It was very strange. I was like, this is the best ad for Duolingo I've ever seen in my life because maybe it does work. He was saying hello and goodbye in every single language. Pretty good. And that was before the wedding. Then after the wedding, went to the hot pot, to this like hot pot place. And my buddy specifically, he was like, "Uh-oh, guys, I'm feeling kind of sick. Watch out. I can't taste anything." And then he gave us this whole story of how his baby, like he was taking care of his baby. He was taking a nap because he had to drive the next morning. And then you know, it was like the room was like dark because it was at like nighttime. And the baby touched his shoulder and it was wet. And he was like, "Oh no, what happened to the baby?" Right? But he couldn't smell anything because, you know, he was sick with COVID. And I was like, "Oh fuck." So he tells us the story, okay? And then he was like, yeah, all he saw was just liquid on her, and he felt liquid on her face, and he was like, "Oh no, my baby's bleeding." Then his wife and his mom come into the room. They turn on the light. It's just shit, and so on the one hand, he's happy. It's just shit all over her face and her like body. On the other hand, he's like, "Oh fuck, it's shit," and they can't smell the shit. So yeah, that's how most of the group got COVID. So it happened at the hot pot. This was a cool hot pot place. Everyone gets their own hot pot, right? So you get your own solo hot pot. You put your soup inside, and then you put your ingredients inside. It's just really nice. But everybody hugged him. Every single person. Okay. Then he goes, "Hey," after I think it was after the hot pot. He was like, "Hey guys, feeling kind of sick. I can't taste anything. I think I have the vid." And I was like, "Oh, you fucker," because he was feeling kind of sick before. And I was like, "Oh, you fucker." So yeah, everybody started dropping like flies. Everybody's sick except for my wife and I. This is the funny part. They spent more time with them afterwards. I was too busy too because of other things I'm going to get into. And everybody got sick. Everyone's dropping like flies. The mod's okay. Her boyfriend's sort of okay. I think because they were also busy too for the rest of the week. But yeah, Sweet Destination's out for the count. Most of the friend group is out for the count. They all have COVID or the flu or something. It's not COVID for most of them. But for that one guy, it was COVID. It was just funny to see. The groom has COVID because of him. Oh fuck! You know it's a good wedding when the groom gets really sick from his own wedding. Oh man, it's honestly very comical the way that things have sort of laid out. We all started dropping like the flies, but it was good. It was good. But that wasn't the only reason why I was gone. You know, a couple things happened, and we realized I can't talk about too much about it. But there was one decision where we're like, you know, maybe it's time for us to get like a family dog. You know, spends time with us, takes care of us and stuff. And this is a more annoying story. The dog is okay. I'm just gonna preface this all by saying that the dog is absolutely fine. He was a good boy as well. Wow, who is this? Wow, new phone. Who is this? You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. I'm back. So we get a new dog, okay? I'm just gonna call it a Doberman because it's very close to a Doberman. It's like 99% a Doberman, but I can't say exactly what because they'll probably find me. Hi, back. Yeah, that dog was really cute. So day one, we go to the breeder and we take it home. Okay, I should have known something was up when my brother and I went, and he started talking about the time my family grew up in like the jungles of Indonesia, escaping the war. I was like, okay, well maybe there's something weird going on with his feelings at the moment. Maybe he's not ready to help take care of a dog, but that's fine This was a plan between my mom and I because and this is sort of separate from my wife and Missy, right? So my side of the family versus her side of the family versus my family that I consider to be just my wife and Missy. This was my side of the family with a family dog, right? So we go and we pick up the dog. Very, very cute little very, very cute Doberman, 5 months old, okay? Everyone who knows dogs knows that you're still a puppy until maybe 9 months to a year, okay? And if you come from a breeder, like a reputable breeder, that's, you know, uh, what's it called? That's a part of the CKC. So it's like the AKC, American Kennel Club, but CKC is the Canadian version. You can imagine what the C stands for. Then they don't really train the dogs much because they don't want to imprint certain behaviors and a bond too early because it makes it difficult for them to like sell the dog, right? Because their purpose as an accredited breeder is to sell those dogs eventually. It's a business line, right? Hecking good pupper, very, very good. Yeah, the dog came from a very, very solid line too. It wasn't like a bite work line. It wasn't like a agility line. It was just a weird family line. It was this very strange CKC breeder where specifically they were bred to do nothing but obedience, which is interesting. So bite work is when you train your dog to do these, like, you ever see those videos of like dogs in training for, say, police or military or something, where they train how to like bite people and not like let go, stuff like that. You have agility, which is those like cool dog courses. You have obedience, which is the stuff where they do heel and they do the prancing, stuff like that. This one was like a weird obedience / like lazy line, which is interesting. It was more of a sort of like a home family line. So solid dog, great dog. We take the dog home. It's good. Day one, it's fairly stable, except some things came up that sort of made me realize, okay, well, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, first off, I know how to train a dog. Not to say that I have very heavy experience in it, but it's not like dogs are the most complicated thing in the world. They take a lot of effort, though, right? But I was with that dog the entire day for day one and day two, and then that's expected. Like, you have to spend your entire day with a dog to actually take care of them, right? And you need to exercise them. You need to really put them through their paces. You have to work with them and really, really train them, especially a dog as smart as a Doberman and as nervy as a Doberman too, because I think with Dobermans, they're a lot more nervy and they'll very easily almost get latched onto something that's giving them like a source of anxiety. You have to work through that with a lot of effort. But if you do, you have a very good guard dog, because that's primarily their purpose, is like almost like a guard dog, right? And day one, it was going pretty pretty well. But then my brother got really anal about certain things. So my brother started to get really anal about just reiterating a lot of the same things, showing me some pretty bad techniques for training the dog. Especially the whole trying to train it to stay on leash very, very close. He also set up some very weird restrictions, which made my job harder, because when you need to deal with a dog that's new in an environment for the first, again, it's the 3-3 rule, right? In a new environment that's already a nervy breed, it's very difficult to do it without access to a much more enclosed, safe space. So I had no access to the backyard because it was basically told that I can use it. And I was like, why? And he's like, he doesn't want it to smell, which is fine, but it's like, I'm going to clean it up immediately. So does it really matter? It's not like it's going to go potty back there, but you need to start somewhere, because this dog comes from an off-leash, very rural area, which doesn't really have much traffic or people in general. Like, you can basically walk in the street for like 3 hours and no car will ever hit you. It's very, very empty. And so we were like, okay, well, that's fine. But like a Doberman especially is nervy, so I was like, it makes my job harder, but I'll still do it, right? Day zero goes out day one goes out with about mostly hitch. And then I text my brother, because he wants to take the dog upstairs to go with him to his room, to spend time with him, his wife, and his daughter, because they want to get, the dog used to it. And I'm like, okay, I'll be up in like 3 hours to take the dog to go pee. And he's like, no, the dog would just be here sleeping the entire night. Mind you, the dog is 5 months old. And I'm like, he's still a puppy and he'll pee every like 3-4 hours, right? And he's like, no, he won't, trust me. And then I wake up the next morning and I even message him. I'm like, okay, what time are you guys going to wake up so I can go walk the dog? And he's like, yeah, we'll wake up at like 8:40 or something. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll wake up at like 8 and I'll be ready, okay? I get the call at 7:30. I'm like, okay, well, the plans are already gone the plans have gone awry when you get a call at 7:30 and you plan everything for 8:45. That's how you know things have gone down the shitter. And he goes, "Hey, you have to take the dog to walk right now. He already peed inside." And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay." Then we were talking about his behavior last night, how he was very, very like fidgety inside his like crate last night because we were crate training it too, right? And he was like, "Yeah, he seemed like he wanted to go somewhere." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. What do you expect? Considering he just pissed himself this morning." So I'm like, okay, well, that's mistake number one. But that was already a good sign of he's not really listening to me, right? He's not really working with me, despite the fact that I'm the one who's going to be the sole person who's responsible for it, right? Not just in terms of the consequences, but also in terms of practicality. I'm the only person who's available to take care of this dog. So I was like, okay, well, all the training's gonna go out the door if you're not on the board with us. But he didn't want to talk about it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just take care of the dog now, right? We have a great day. I think 7 times out of 10 outdoors for like potty training was perfect. Honestly, a 70% success rate for potty training for the first day is a very, very high success rate for any new dog. I've never had that high of a success rate for a new dog ever. It usually goes terribly. Usually the first day there's piss all over the place. There's like shit all over the place. It's awful. This was 2 peas and 1 poo compared to like 6 peas and 1 poo outside. Okay, and that dog, I had no clue. He likes to poo 4 times. I only found it out when at the very end, and I was like, okay, good. Like he's like pretty good now, even for me caught yellow. Yeah, exactly. Like it's not that bad. Like it's pretty good, okay? But things happened and I had to deal with somebody who came over to check something out. It's a part of a larger thing I can't talk about yet. And they were checking the place out and I had to leave the dog inside the crate because I wasn't sure about its behavior. But he was friendly with strangers, at least with this stranger, because the stranger had multiple Dobermans too. I was familiar with them. I've worked with this person in the past, so I was familiar with them, and so they knew how to deal with it, and so they were friendly. But still, I had to get the dog used to like that time away. The problem was that it took a lot longer than expected, the discussion about things, because there was a lot of things that we had to talk about in terms of what could possibly have be. I can't talk too much about it. And so when he left and stuff, I came back and the crate was full of pee, and I was like, oh no, this is like the biggest disaster zone because the crate's where he sleeps. You don't want dogs to pee and poo where they sleep because it overrides their instinct to keep it clean, and then you will get into like a really hard mess of like they won't want to sleep in there, or they'll always pee and poo where they sleep. Like either way, the instinct is gone, and it gets really, really bad. The problem is that the breeder who had him as well keeps them in crates for very long periods of a time, and probably they also have accidents in there too. So already kind of came in like a very poor state, I think. But for the most part, he was pretty good otherwise. So this was just more of on my end, okay? So at this point, it's like midday. I want to say like 1-2 p.m. I take him for like I let him to go off leash. I clean his toes and stuff, and I want him to get used to being off leash as well within the house to sort of get used to the space. I let him explore as much as he wants. He has a natural tendency to follow me. He's very cute. He likes to lick my face. He really bonded with me very, very quick. Very, very quickly. He did not want to be alone without me though, which sort of pointed towards some level of anxiety. So I knew that was going to be a thing that I had to work on. Okay. So I go downstairs to the big tub to clean up the crate, and then as I'm cleaning up, my brother comes home, and at this point the dog has already pooped outside and pooped inside once, pooped outside once, but I've already cleaned all of that up. Same with the pee. I was in the middle of like cleaning it from the crate. I was literally in the bathtub cleaning out the crate with all the pee. He comes home and he starts to get really anal about the fact that I need to keep it clean. And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing right now? He's like, you have to be on top of this. You cannot mess up. You have to be on top of this. I'm like, but he says that, right? He says that you have to clean it up immediately as I'm cleaning it up right in front of him. Like I'm standing 1 foot in the bathtub. My entire upper body is wet because I'm trying to clean the entire crate. And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing right now, right? And it just seemed weird to me. And he got more and more anal about it. And then I was cleaning it up and he's getting more and more angry about it. And at first, with my way of handling conflicts, I usually don't give a shit. I'm like, if it's wrong, I don't even care to correct them, because if it's wrong, they're too stupid to know anyways if you tell them what's like right. So I just say, okay, sure, like whatever, I'll agree with you, sure. But he kept on going at it, and so I asked him very simply, where is this coming from? He exploded on me, and I was like, and my brother exploding on me is like a very normal thing that I'm kind of used to. But I was like, within the context of everything else, I was like, no, this is not cool, right? But he exploded on me, and he was just getting very agitated. And even his wife looked at me and was like, "You should leave the room," like just to be like, "Look, just leave the room. I'll handle it." And I was like, the dude's like 40. You don't have to like do this, right? But it was at this point that I was like, okay, I can't take care of the dog because it's between my mom and I. That's sort of the deal, right? My brother gets to have a dog at home that he gets to hang out with and can bring with him to go on little like outings like fishing and stuff. But it's not his primary responsibility, nor is he the actual owner of the dog, right? It's specifically for, my parents and I. He basically should have no say in it. Not to say that he can't give criticisms, but you learn very quickly that criticisms, I think around the age of like 8, you learn very quickly that you can give criticism without being mean about it. And so in order to facilitate like an actual growth approach, a positive growth approach with people, let alone animals, okay? He must have missed that 32 years now, later, which is crazy to me because it's like, okay, what's the point? So thankfully, still early on, you lose out on the money, but you can return the dog to the breeder. No harm, no foul. The dog has barely picked up any skills. By this point, the dog has only really learned his name. He's only really learned how to like hang out and stuff. He hasn't really learned much at all, except for like his new name, but barely. Like I want to say 50% of the time. And potty training, he went from a good 70% to day 2 afterwards, like a 90%. He was very good. He also got a lot more comfortable with the people in the house, but that's sort of easy to, like, it's not like a long-term effect into the training and stuff. So you can still return the dog to the trainer. Because in my mind, it's like, look, I only signed up to this because I wouldn't be treated like shit. Like, no matter what you do, you shouldn't just take shit for granted, even if it comes from a family. So I tell them, I'm like, okay, well, things have changed. Clearly my brother has a lot of issues going on. I should have realized that the small breadcrumbs of behavior that he left that makes me go like, okay, yeah, like you have to really think about this. And I was like, look, we have to return the dog tonight or tomorrow, but I can't train the dog anymore like this because this is my brother. By the way, this is day 2 of having the dog. So we're on day 2 of having the dog. Okay, my brother's like this on day 1 and day 2. He's gonna be like this on day 30, and day 30 is a long way away. And even at day 30, the dog is still a puppy because it's only 6 months old. It's still gonna have accidents. So I'm still gonna come home and take shit take shit for it. Okay, I'm not afraid to deal with my brother too, because and he knows this. It's sort of why we have like a very tense relationship. We are very much like aware of the fact that like I'm old enough to kick his ass and he's old enough to kick my ass, and so we don't really want to deal with that with each other. But because of this, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Okay. So, I set this up. It blows up into a whole thing, and they're like, okay, like, we won't bother you anymore. But he always says this. He always does this. He always says he won't do that again. But I know the guy. He has a behavior, like, he has a pattern of, like, very, very poor behavior. So I know it's going to happen again. And at this point, my parents are sort of done as well, because my parents were fine with the dog. They didn't care about the mess. They knew what was going on. They've had dogs before, probably in the past. At least my like dad has, and my mom has seen dogs. Like she knows what to expect. It's dogs are straightforward. You clean at them, you would train them. It's a very simple task, right? It just takes effort and time, and that's what I have. But they were done with the dog too, so they asked them to bring the dog back. Earlier in the day, I should have realized that this was probably the biggest sign of something going wrong. Because my brother has this behavior of gaslighting, which I really hate about him. Anytime he tries it with me, I tell him to fuck off. But earlier in the day, after I made the call, after he took the dog out to go fishing and stuff, after he got on my ass, he got really aggressive while I was cleaning up the house from a single dog incident. Again, on day 2 of having the dog. He then came home because he got the call from my parents because I talked to them. I was like, look, we have to. This isn't going to work because of him. Yeah. Then he brings the dog home, right? Then he's like, look, just keep the dog for one more day. You're gonna learn to love the dog. And I'm like, did you listen at all to what they said? Have you been listening at all to what I've been saying? It's not the dog's fault. It's you as a person's fault. But he didn't address that at all. So he tried to guilt trip me into keeping the dog by spending time with the dog. And I was like that should have been my first red flag sign, but I'm so used to it that I kind of ignore it, right? But I was like, what the fuck is going on? So when they tell him to get rid of the dog, to bring the dog back to the breeder at nighttime, because at nighttime is when we usually interact, because that's when everyone's home from work. He starts to become defiant. He starts to say no, no, no. He hides all the documents for the dog. I don't know where the dog trainer like breeder is, because he's the one who drove us there. I didn't really pay attention because you don't really expect to need the address again for something like this if he's going to be the main contact, because you don't expect this to happen. And then it becomes a whole mess. He apparently left the dog outside at some point for 2 minutes, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I was asleep by this point. Then they brought him in, and then they knocked on my door and they said, can you take the dog? And I was like, well, I mean, I can, but the dog's just gonna sleep anyway, so just put him back in the crate. So they did that. Dog slept with my mom. Day 3 comes around. The dog is still in the house. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? My mom tells me, yeah, he just didn't tell them anything. Didn't tell them where the dog was. Withhold all information. Didn't tell them anything. Didn't even give the phone number of it. I'm panicking at this point because I have to figure out a way to get the dog back. My wife is a saint. She walked me through it. She was like, okay, just calm down, breathe. She really helped me here because I was also very angry. I don't mind being stressed, but when I'm angry, my mind sort of goes towards very solution oriented. I'm very much about stopping the problem ASAP. And so my first thought was, okay, well, if we can't find a breeder, it has to be a shelter, because what do we do? It's not really many options, right? But we eventually find the address of the breeder, because this is weird, but every single dog from AKC or CKC line, they have a name system where it's the breeder name first, a random fake made up middle name like Vaughn, and then the last name. So it might be Dog Barker is Vaughn Maxwell, and that's sort of the same pattern for every name. And I remembered seeing that name on the contract. I was like, oh wait, I know his name. We found him. Then my dad comes home, and my dad is like, wait, before we return the dog, I'm like, fuck, he learned it from you. My brother learned it from you. The gaslight, he learned it from you. But he gave me more context into sort of why my brother was acting like that. Not to say that it forgave him, right? But it was just more of an understanding of how my brother thinks. Because I don't really talk with him. I've been estranged from my family for many years. It's only been a recent thing within the past 2 years I've really sort of let them back into my life. But for most of my life with my wife, both of us have been very estranged from our families. We just had to, they've just sort of grown enough and they've apologized enough for us to trust them a little. And so my dad let us in, let me in on a bit of knowledge here, and he was like, "Yeah, the reason why is because we used to yell at him for how he used to take care of his dogs." And then that brought back a flood of memories. My brother used to have dogs, a lot of them, big dogs. It's sort of why I was fine with him giving advice. But thinking back on it now, it was stupid. The way he takes care of his dogs was so bad that there would be shit and piss all over the floor of the kitchen, and they wouldn't want to listen to anything, and they were very hard to control. Okay, so it's like, why am I taking training advice from a dude who can't even handle his own big dogs? And this dog, a Doberman, while it's not as intense as a Malinois, is still a pretty intense dog, right? It's not, it's not as Malinois as you think, and it's probably closer to a Rottweiler once you get it fully exercised out. But still, it's a pretty intense dog, and you still need to know what you're doing, okay? Clearly, my brother didn't know what he was doing. But the reason why they never let him have dogs was because of that, growing up. I didn't know any of this, obviously, because I didn't live in the house for years, close to a decade. But yeah, so that was why. It's why he was so much on my ass. But then I said, well, it doesn't really excuse what he did. And then my dad was like, yeah. So we still decided to give up the dog. But he was like, just to give it some time. Think about it. I spent some more time with the dog, and I was thinking, okay, maybe we can keep it, right? But then it was just a final walk. On that final walk, and this is day 3 now. The dog was doing perfect. It was a 90% success rate on potty training. Dobermans are very, very smart. They pick up on things very, very quickly. He was very, very toy-driven and treat-driven. His prey drive wasn't that high, though. But those two were pretty good. But also, you don't really want a high prey drive anyways for home dogs, so it's fine. He was very good about that stuff. So it was easy to train. But I was just thinking to myself, that 10% is gonna get me in shit every single night for the next month. And then I was thinking like, holy shit, it's only day 3, but it feels like I've been at this for a week. So 27 days from now, when we hit the 6 months old, it's gonna feel like I've been, on the battlefield for like a year at this point, basically with the Zog. And it's like I don't know what I like. I'm not really dealing with that, so I reaffirmed my commitment to saying, okay, we can't take care of the dog. There's human behavioral issues that need to be solved before we can have a dog, because dogs are easier to train than humans. So I was like, we had to bring it back. My wife and I make the longest trip ever. She's so fucking tired. I feel so bad for her. She's such a sweetheart. My wife is an absolute trooper. I thank her for it, because she was the only person who could drive at that time for us both, because I had to take care of the dog as well. So it was good to have us there. Yeah, that was a whole headache. Got back. The breeder, he was like, "What happened?" And I just I explained to him. The first words out of the breeder's mouth was, "That's fucking stupid." Even the breeder, he was like, "It's day 1 of the dog. Of course, it's gonna shit and piss in the house. So it's day 1. The dog is 5 months old. Like, what do you think is going to happen, right?" And I'm like, yeah, kind of hard to explain people's behaviors. But yeah, got the dog back. It was good. Obviously, the money is gone to some degree, some amount of it. Couldn't get back all the tags for vaccinations and stuff, like all the health records, because my brother is still hiding it somewhere. I don't know if in spite or if in malice or if in stupidity. I'm not really sure, but I can't find it. But very, very hectic 3 days, and then I was just out for the count because I was just so tired of dealing with it. There was so many interpersonal things that was dealing with. There's a whole situation I'm still dealing with. There's a lot of things that I was dealing with. My role in the family is very much like a mediator slash problem solver. I've always sort of been that way, and it was always weird to me because growing up I was like, why don't they just get my brother to do it? He's clearly capable. But then I realized he's not really capable. He's just not capable. He doesn't have the same emotional wherewithal to do it. He doesn't have the same emotional and mental stability to do so. And it's not necessarily his fault, but as a consequence of actions that are out of his control and out of my control, actions in his life that have happened, it's no longer something that it makes him ineligible to do the rest of what people need him to do. So it sort of falls to me. Very hectic time. This on top of the wedding, this on top of other things that were happening concurrently at the same time, pretty massive things, meant that the whole thing was a mess. But the dog was the smallest portion of that whole mess. Everything else has been way more of a headache, and that's the larger thing, but I can't talk about it. So, yeah, very interesting. But that dog was cute. Very, very cute. I love Dobermans. I think I will get a Doberman for myself and my wife at some point. But we're just sort of waiting to see when we have time for it, because we do want to make sure it's like a good time for it too. My wife is still very hesitant because Missy herself is kind of like a big deal. It was funny to introduce the Doberman to Missy because the Doberman actually really submitted to her. It was pretty funny, actually. The Doberman submitted entirely to her, and Missy dominated him. But Missy also couldn't play with him because he was too big. But he was so curious. He wanted to play with her all the time. But he was so used to playing with larger dogs that he tried to push her around, and it was just way too aggressive, right? Like his paws were the size of her head, so it's just not possible. But you see this. It's so funny to see this larger dog be so submissive and almost cowering to this small chihuahua who's snapping at him, who's like, "Don't touch me, don't bother me." But at the same time, when they play, they really like each other. But it was just tough. But that dog was good. That dog was a very good guard dog too. When we were walking, I feel so bad for the dude who was doing it. It was the funniest thing ever on the walk. Kind of dark, so you can't see anything, right? One of my neighbors is doing the yard because it's fall. Leaves are falling, branches are falling, shit's in the yard. For some reason, people have a fascination with keeping their yard clean, and I'm like, my brother in Christ, it's nature. Anything outside my doors, anything that goes beyond my doors and my windows, that is the domain of nature, okay? Whatever happens out there, it is a dog-eat-dog world, okay? If a leaf falls on the ground and I'm not around to hear it or see it, it was always there. It's a part of the ground now. It is the ground. It will simply fade away into dirt at some point. Some worm will eat it. I don't care, okay? But he was picking up all that shit from his yard, and then he made a branch cracking noise, and we had just walked past him, but it was dark, and the dog, the Doberman, was really focused on me. This was a very interestingly focused Doberman on me. Usually other Dobermans that I see, they tend not to really look back at you. They look back at you to get direction and guidance, but not always focused on you. This one was really focused on me. He hears a noise, gets, and obviously because they're like a nervy dog, he gets started and starts barking, right? And this was the first time that I really heard him bark. And I was like, holy shit, he sounds fucking scary as shit. Like even the guy was super scared. But it was kind of a behavior that we had to work on slowly. So we were sort of slowly letting him do it, like the whole thing of like, guide him away from it, redirect, praise him afterwards for redirecting so he doesn't get as nervy. But yeah, that was funny. The guy like got so scared. All I heard when the dog barked from the guy was "Who, who." So funny. Oh, fuck. And what's funny too is that we were like a fair distance away, right? So it's also kind of muffled by the distance. So all you hear from a distance is like "Who." It's so fucking funny. I feel bad for him though. He looked kind of older, so I was kind of worried of him dying, but it was good. Hello, chat. Hey, chat. Long time no see. And hello. Again, there's no need for you to sub or anything, but every time someone does, the video always plays, and it's so funny. But yeah, that's all the stories. Doberman is now no longer in our possession. Back with the breeder, so it's good. Doberman's fine. He gave me like an update that like the Doberman's fine too, so it's all good. But yeah, we no longer have a family dog. Within the span of 3 days, I've never seen a dog join the family and leave a family within 3 days before, which goes to show like just how bad my brother was to everybody. Like he was so bad that even my mom, who tried to convince me initially to keep the dog for our family, she was like, "We're bringing the dog back. You are going to bring the." She was so mad. She was like, "You are going to bring the dog back because your brother can't do anything." And I was like, "Oh Jesus, okay, fine, sure." But hey, everyone. So yeah, that's why I was gone. That's why I was gone. There was a lot of weird interpersonal drama, really cool events, really bad things that happened that I still can't talk about. So yeah, it's good. It's very good. But you all came in a good time because now we're gonna move on to the games. As I mentioned before, today's gonna be a very interesting game day. We're going a bit later because the mod's coming home later, and I kind of want to go later today. We're gonna be playing some games. One game that came out recently today, as well as another game that came out the night before. One game that everyone knows, one game that I don't think a single person knows about this game, but I found it and I was like, I feel like this is up my alley and up a lot of people's alleys. It's Stalker. Yep, it's Stalker 2. So I've been waiting for this game for, I feel like now 15 years. Like I remember playing Stalker 1 back in high school, like early high school, which I mean to 30 now, but early high school, and you get there. Glad it's not Veilguard. You're not the only one. So okay. So at the wedding, right? Because I saw my buddy playing a lot of Veilguard on Discord, and then I asked him, and I was like, "Was it good?" And he was like, eh. He was like, "The gameplay's kind of fun, the story's kind of weak," and I was like, "Oh." But I was like, the whole point of the game is to have a really good story and really good gameplay. And I was like, is it still strategy? And he's like, I was like, ooh, it's like that weird mix of like strategy action. And he's like, oh, it's a lot more action. It's more like Mass Effect. And I was like, ooh, like you played Veilguard and wanted to take a rope with you to the forest. Okay, to the. We'll go back. Okay, maybe we don't have to say it like that much. But yeah, that's what I've heard from most people playing it. It's like they feel like they have to play it out of obligation of the money that they spent, not because they really enjoyed it. It was sad, right? Because it had some cool ideas, I think, presented, but execution is everything. Again, I felt like Dragon Age Origins was the best one of the entire series. I felt like it started to go weird in other ways. They really walked away from that strategy combat motif, which I felt like was going to do fine anyways, because look at Baldur's Gate 3. And then, a lot of writing, like the quality of the writing has sort of gone back and forth. In some parts, it's gotten a lot better. In other parts, it's gotten a lot worse. It's such a weird genre to go with. But I stopped after Inquisition, so I don't know anything about after that. I just know that by Inquisition, I just kind of felt like it was a whole different game almost. You think AI wrote this game? Well, probably. The games industry as a whole is moving towards AI, so... Origins was probably good, but it was not the game that you were looking for at the time, so you dipped somewhat early. Yeah, that's the thing. I think at the time, that's a great point. I think at the time, probably because every single game around that time was very much more action oriented. I feel like, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it around the time of Mass Effect? I'm pretty sure it was like a similar time frame, though. Dragon Age Origins release date, Mass Effect release date, 2009. No, Mass Effect release date. Yeah, so Dragon Age Origins was 2 years after Mass Effect, which was I think also was a Fallout 3 release date. Skyrim was like 2011, no? Skyrim release date, Fallout 3. Yeah, and then yeah, Fallout 3 in the 2008. Like the whole industry was really trending towards more action-paced combat. But I liked it. But at the same time, uh, I, I'm somebody who at that time was playing Final Fantasy Tactics mods, so I was already into that type of gameplay. So I can see why. But yeah, it's sort of like that transition, and like the whole space was already moving towards different things. So yeah, exactly. You were looking more for an RPG in the vein of Elder Scrolls, some free roaming thing with an explorer vibe. Yep. And Fallout 3 was perfect for that. Fallout 3 was really good for the that. Oblivion was still good, and then Skyrim was going to come out in the next 2 years. So it was it was always going to have a tough time with a certain type of crowd that was looking for that more free-form exploration, because it's a very linear experience. Like Origins is a very surprisingly linear experience. Like if you wrote out the entire story, the choices that you have impact a lot, but also very little, and it very much you're just on this track the entire time. You have to go through the entire thing. So yeah. But hey, at least you had Fallout 3. I still think Fallout 3 was amazing. So you're gonna wait for 34 hours one of those days. Is it because of work? You should probably sleep before the hallucinations start, because the hallucinations are gonna absolutely demolish you. Much more than in Failguard. Yeah, a lot more. A lot more. Yeah. You also felt super bullied in the game in Dragon Age Origin when the game told you, by the way, you can be attacked in your camp from now on. What? Really? You felt super bullied? That was the best. That was the best part for me. I always thought that that was the coolest part. I wish more games had that. In a way, I wish more games had that without the quest failure that's in Baldur's Gate 3. Like if Baldur's Gate 3 had your camp might not be a safe place, you have to think about where you're making your camp. I think it add a lot more, I guess, like thing. I just hate the quest failing. But I always thought that was fun. It was also one of the only ways to farm EXP. So Dragon Age Origins' biggest or like most interesting thing about it is that because the game is so linear, there's very little opportunities to level up, and so you have to use game the system's EXP system as much as you can. And getting attacked was one of the best ways to gain EXP. So every night, like when you go to camp and stuff like that, or like when you go into that rest zone, I forget like what it was called. Whenever I like did that, I was hoping that I would get attacked. I was really ready with my entire party because I needed EXP so badly. It's because of work. Okay, they started 40 hours for you. Wait, what? So why? Wait, so why? We'll just go to sleep now, or sleep. Sleep. Or why didn't you sleep before now? You're starting to see the dots on the lines move. Okay, you're probably not going to be okay. I don't think. You don't know. You sucked at the game to begin with, so being robbed of your only safe space was me. No, it's not that you sucked at the game. The game was legitimately hard. Sorry, give me 1 second. Mm, my wife. Yeah, that so Dragon Age Origins was just a ridiculously hard game. I've It's very rare that you play a game where you can fail outright near the beginning of it. I had the hardest time in the beginning of that game because I want to say right after the siege and after the death of the king, which is not a spoiler. It's like the first thing that happens to you after you become uh, a Dark Warden, right? As soon as you get loose into the world, there are so many opportunities for you to start to fail immediately, and it's so hard to actually stick with it and stay alive. The only other game that I felt had that same system was Saga Frontier. That game, I don't know why. As a kid, probably the remake is, maybe now it might be different because I'm like, now I know how to play games. But that game, you could literally go out, do the wrong thing 5 hours before, and you wouldn't be able to kill the boss in that particular storyline. It was a crazy, crazy, just weird, come back towards that weird old school hardcore gameplay. On top of the fact that some of the intro storylines were harder than others. The intro storyline for the Dwarves was really cool, but also very hard. There are a lot of choices. The one for the mage was really cool, but also very hard and with a lot of choices. So you could very easily fail. The human stuff was very simple. But specifically if you go down those two routes, you definitely get the sense that the game is designed to make you fail, or like it doesn't care if you fail or Why not? Listen, buddy, buffers. Oh no, is it buffering again? So what's funny is that I'm not the only one. I was asking my friends, right? And they were like, a lot of Twitch streamers that they watch keep buffering for them too. And I was like, oh. So it's not my internet. I know for sure it's not the internet, but it is something. I just blame Twitch. How can you sleep? Stick is live. Yeah, but you have to take care of yourself. Your health is better than the stream. And there's always VODs, so it doesn't really matter. The game was harder before, and now it all handholds and uses diapers. Reminds you of Wolfenstein's easy daddy hold my hand. Yeah, I definitely get that sense. But I don't mind. I don't mind that. I think I've changed my mind about difficulty over the years. I think earlier on I was like, it doesn't make sense to make things too easy. But at the same time, I like the ability that it's sort of easier in places, or like by default kind of easy, and you can make it harder. Because then at least more people can play it. And a lot of the experience of a game, in a weird way, isn't really just the gameplay mechanics, but also your ability to execute them and the story and other elements too. Because like for a lot of people, if you can't execute the gameplay mechanics, you won't have fun with the game anyways, but they still might be interested in the overall story. A bit like Dragon Age Origins. It's like if they suck at it, they might still really be interested in the story because it's a great story. The Dark Wardens, the monsters, I forget their name now. The whole, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it's a very interesting story once you get into the deeper parts of it. But to get to the very end, you have to be really good at it, right? So I can sort of see that argument of like, do you want to deprive people of one of the better pieces of writing from BioWare at that time? Wait, is it BioWare? Yeah, from BioWare at that time. Just because they can't, strategize perfectly? I don't think so. But at the same time, though, yeah, once you get the hang of the game, it's sort of like, or like any game, you just kind of want more. But I do agree, games were a lot harder before. It has trended towards easier. Except now we're seeing a weird reversal of that, which I kind of enjoy. Difficulty is always difficult, and I kind of love seeing the way that the industry pivots back and forth. It might be you, TBH. Your internet has been bad recently, or rather your router. The connection itself seems okay. Good. I'm glad that you said that because it allows me to blame you. It's your fault, buddy. Health is a social construct. It is. Yeah. That's why it should be socialized. Then we get really political. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, speaking of games, actually, there's also the Half-Life 2 20-year anniversary. I didn't watch the documentary, but I know that Half-Life 2 was free for a bit, so I think it's still free, and it also has a really cool update for it that adds a bunch of cool things. Mainly just fixes bugs apparently. It's fascinating too to think how many people were playing Half-Life 2 recently. A lot of people that I was watching while I was gone were playing Half-Life 2. I was watching Octopimp play it, which is I stan him. He was watching, and it's funny to see so many people like find the mods for the game, because the mods for the game have always been absurd. There have been so many Half-Life 2 mods. Mods keep getting made for Half-Life 1 and 2 as well. I think the engine has a very deep place in people's hearts. It's sort of why Sandbox is so fun to use. And boy, oh boy, was it nice to see again. But I've heard some snippets from the documentary about how Valve was saved by one Korean intern. I was like, yeah, that's usually how it goes. So yeah, very fascinating stuff. We'll maybe try out some Half-Life 2 stuff eventually, but the thing with Half-Life 2 is that I played it so much that I'm now done with it. That's sort of the problem with it. I burned myself out on it, playing all the cool stuff, trying to make stuff for it. I'm kind of like, I'm done with it. But it is a lot of fun. Still to this day, I think. The gameplay feels a little dated compared to other shooting games, but it's not so dated that you won't enjoy it, and it still has that perfect mix of arcade / interesting sci-fi feel. It's a very, very good feeling game. And episode 1 and 2 obviously make it feel a lot better. Level design, I think, got a little bit better as well. Well, a lot better, especially in episode 1. Episode 1 to 2 wasn't as much, but still really good stuff. Yeah, some games can be cool to experience for the vibe and the story. You don't really get enjoyment on challenge in single-player games. So maybe something like shmups. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Yeah, because most people... because game mechanics, I feel like, are a very subjective thing to like. You can objectively say it's a great game mechanic, but still hate it. But to like it, I mean, obviously, to liking something is going to be always subjective. But specifically, you really can't predict people's tastes, and so when you're wrapped up in a bag that has an amazing story, an amazing context, and amazing vibes in the general, do you really want to deprive someone of that experience just because they can't play the game? Not really. Or just because they don't want to play the game? Not really, right? Like, I hate the gameplay of Final Fantasy X. What's funny is that, to this day, I've Pavlov myself. If I play Final Fantasy X, I fall asleep within 5 minutes. It's so funny. It always happens to me. When I was younger, when I still had my PS2, well, I still have it, but the disc is now scratched to shit. I had to back it up. Whenever I needed to go to sleep, I just play Final Fantasy 2 in bed. I just look at the TV and my eyes would close. I'd wake up and the TV was just, like, still on, and I'd be in the middle of a fight because that's when you start to fall asleep. That's when it's like, okay, this is Resident Sleep time. What a great game. But at the same time, it's like you want to experience it for the story. So thank God it's easy and boring in the same ways. Say Half-Life is dated as a shooter, but come to think of it, we don't really have narrative-focused FPSs nowadays. The indie FPS scene seems to be more about the Doom-style boomer shooter for now. Yeah, no. So the narrative style, yeah, no, that's not dated. It's specifically the mechanics. So, like, it's weird how the shooting mechanics feel very old school arcadey. Like, even the Doom-style boomer shooters, they don't feel as arcadey except for the indie ones that are intentionally going for that style. Like, even Doom felt very, very modern the way that the gameplay felt, and like the FPS like felt smooth and like stuff like that. But Half-Life 2 still has that old school feel. I do agree that there's basically no, I can't think of any narrative focused FPS that isn't about war. Which is not to say that they're bad, but like, I'm not really into Modern Warfare as good as it is in terms of the cool storylines and the stuff, or COD, sorry. You just don't find a shooting game that's about stuff like Half-Life 2 did. Like, it just, and even afterwards, I couldn't find any. Like, I've never been able to find something that fills that weird niche of really interesting story that's executed well, that has a very high focus on interactivity, with not only the physics system, but also the way that you move. Like, the way that you go about the game in like a gameplay sense too. Like, the shooting is like very, very dated, but the everything, like the physics gameplay, I still haven't found anywhere else. It's weird, and compared with a really good story, it's strange how there's nothing like that still to this day. Maybe, you know, and like it's crazy too, because like Doom had really good gunplay and a fun story, but it wasn't, you know, it still wasn't that whole package that I felt like I was craving from Half-Life. It's odd. So, again, it's not to say that I hate games like Doom or like COD. Like, I do enjoy the stories. It is surprisingly fun to get into that almost fictionalized war story thing, but sometimes you just want like a weird aliens or like just a weird fantasy fiction story with very, very fun gameplay elements. Oh, Prey! No, you're right. Okay, sorry. The one game that I did find, it was Prey. Yeah. Sorry. No, you're right. That game sort of like, it comes into my mind and then it leaves, and it comes into my mind and leaves. That game was fantastic. That game was the closest I ever felt to the Half-Life 2 formula. But it was a much slower game, I would say. I feel like Prey was more RPG than action, than an action focused, fast paced FPS game, which isn't bad. I actually enjoyed that formula a lot, but I recognize that like there are some slight differences. Yeah, but Prey was amazing. Yeah, you did legitimately enjoy the sheer bombast of the first COD Modern Warfare, but at some point it cranked it so much in the series that you just get numb to it. Yeah. If you like, though, the Cold War games are amazing. I think, is it the Cold War ones? It's the ones where they go back in time and it's like you're an agent quite literally during the Cold War working with America. Those ones have a weird story. It still cranks up a little. The latest one has like a weird zombie segment. But it's genuinely fun, too. Yeah, similar discussion recently. And it's almost like BioShock comes the closest. You know what's funny? I don't remember anything about BioShock. The Black Ops series? No. What was it called? The Cold War? Oh, wait. Yeah, it is. Wait, what? It's called Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Wait, what? Wasn't Black Ops like a whole different thing? Wait, what? So there's Call of Duty Black Ops with numbers, and there's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. What? It's so confusing. Yeah, I guess the Black Ops, but with the Cold War. The latest one was actually really good. Very short though. It's only like a 3 or 4 hour game for $70. It wasn't really worth it, but it was fun. You lost track. You think you did around Modern Warfare 3? Especially with them remaking the games, I just lose track of everything. But yeah, it's weird because I don't remember anything about BioShock. Maybe I should play that again. Because I don't even think I got far in BioShock. I think I played a little bit of it, and then at some point I dropped it because I got busy, and then it was years later, and I was like, I'll just watch a video about it. Which I think deprived me of the experience, because Prey was a great experience to like live through, and then and then BioShock. I think I need to live through it just to really enjoy it again. Because if it does come close, I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. But then it's like, do you go for the, like, is it the same for the newer ones, like Bioshock Infinite, or is it, do you go back to the original with like the dads, the dads? Outer Worlds was a good game with nice FPS. I thought it was, that game was interesting. I thought it was okay or like good, but it was something weird. It felt stiff in certain areas. It felt like a better, more polished Starfield though. I was like, Outer Worlds feels like a much better, more polished Starfield, and it makes sense given the studio's pedigree of like stuff they were making. But it felt like a very, very solid game. But something about the shooting did feel weirdly stiff in certain ways, and I didn't really enjoy the gameplay too much. But I recognize the formula as being good. But however, I also didn't finish that game fully. I got maybe halfway through, and I was like, I'm kind of done with the game. I just don't think I was in the right mood for Outer Worlds to play that game fully. But I think it was pretty good. I also recognize that it wasn't. I think now I've changed my opinion on it. Of like, it wasn't the craziest thing out there at the time. Bioshock 1 and 2 are an insanely good vibe. And Infinite was alright, but you weren't that much into the setting. Ah, man, yeah, maybe I will go. Okay, one day we'll try out like old games. Starfield, you finished it once, and you never looked back. It's funny you say that. I still haven't finished Starfield once. I think where we left off in Starfield was I found a bunch of bugs, and I was playing around with the bugs, and I kept shooting what's her name off the building. It was such a weird game. I need to finish that game and just see like what is wrong with it. But I got far enough that I was like very underwhelmed by it. It's fascinating how quickly you get underwhelmed by the game, because you can do a lot in that game, but as far as I had gotten, I still hadn't really felt a reason for why I wanted to play. It felt very underwhelming, and it's weird because it felt like the same style of gameplay as almost Skyrim, in that even for the time it feels dated. But at least in Skyrim's time, it's not like it was very good anyways, so it was doable. But Skyrim still felt kind of dated in many ways. Particularly for the gameplay loop. And then Starfield now in this modern day feels extremely dated in the way it worked. And the story felt, I don't know, the story felt very like lackluster in many different ways. Problem is you can do a lot, but there's no use to do things. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it felt like there was no point in doing a lot of this stuff. It just kind of was there for you to do, and as EXP, and that was it. There was no real motivation. I also felt like the story, it's weird because I actually did genuinely like the idea of the story. I think I still like the concept of the story. But I recognize, like, I was thinking about it more after I did the year in review for last year, and I was thinking of how, like, why did the story not grip me hard enough to make me be interested in this? And I realized there's just not enough execution on it. It's a cool concept, but the way it's brought into life is with very non-interactive story elements, which just felt very, I don't know, boring to me. Bioshock 1 feels very clunky to play. 2 is where they refined the gameplay, though going back to the same setting meant it lost a bit of its mystery. So what you're saying is I need to play 2 first to ignore number 1. Because if it goes back to the same setting and it loses the mystery, that's no problem if you treat number 2 as the first game in the series. that's the life hack. Is you wait for the sequel to come out because it makes the game better. And then you just play the sequel if it's in the same setting for the entire story. Or you watch a full essay, a video essay. Sorry, 1 second. Speaking of the games, so there's also the Game Awards. The Game Awards is currently there's nominations for it now. I haven't checked any of them. I just know that Balatro won, and I think very well deserved. Balatro was really good, but it's weird how before I was really into E3, and I think E3 had like a weirdly comical vibe to it that the new one doesn't have. The new one doesn't have that same weird comical vibe. You are not gonna get Reggie, my body is ready up on stage. It just doesn't feel the same anymore. But even then, I'm like, what do you even nominate, really? Because most of my nominations would be the indie games, which almost always die, because Game Awards are always a popularity contest, like the Oscars, like the Emmys, like the Grammys. It's just, who do you know? How much of a niche does it cover? How large is that niche? How many of them are willing to go and, like, nominate some of my game? It's almost always a popularity contest. So, I'm probably gonna skip the Game Awards this year, but at least I am glad that Balatro won. I'm glad because maybe it's showing a shift in things. Apparently, the DLC for Elden Ring is out there, which we still haven't even finished the base game, so I need to get on that too. But it's gonna be a busy holiday season for us, all of us. So most AAA games the past 2 years have been really bad. Yeah, actually, what? Well, have you seen the quadruple A games? Oh, the quadruple A games. What was that? What was that first? Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones. What was the shit? A. Ubisoft planning for quadruple A games. Yeah, that seems awful. See, the reason why AAA games have been so bad is because they don't have enough A's. You need a fourth A and a fifth A. Yeah, I don't know. It's what AAA games. This year has been kind of interesting because Concord died. Skull and Bones was a disaster, and we had a lot of remakes. Like this felt like the year of remakes. So we had, I mean, still some really cool games, right? I think is Shadows out yet? I really wanted to play AC Shadows, Assassin's Creed Shadows. That one looked really cool. But I'm also a sucker for anything that involves like my culture. Oh, that's next year. Okay, well. Wait, are they doubling down on the shitty quadruple A thing? I love the emote that shows up. It's the cat screaming emote. Yeah, I think they did at some point. Yeah, but for there's not many games. There's like Persona 3 Reload, but isn't that just a remake? There was that new ReFantasia game, which is probably also going to be nominated. Honestly, that game was apparently really good. Everyone's been telling me to play it. Outlaws was bad. Yeah, Concord was bad. Screaming Cat? What? Oh, if you don't have 7 TV, then you can't see it. Yeah, it's so funny to me. Oh man, because this is all I see from the messages when someone types quadruple A. Right here, it's so stupid. Quadruple A. Look how my throat is like dying. Jesus. Why is the Catholic VTuber here? Why is he on my thing? Where I don't know why I have the Catholic VTuber on there. Where is it? This is the message. Yeah, it's because the cat's screaming like but like we we co-opted it. It's funny because the games industry co-opted like the screaming onomatopoeia for quadruple A. Yeah, what games actually were AAA that released besides Elden Ring? Silent Hill 2 was a remake, but that was really good. I thought Silent Hill 2 was really bad, but it was. Yeah, that game was interesting. Like, I feel like the latter half of Silent Hill 2 lasted way too long, and I kind of wanted more expansion on the former half. But I get why they couldn't, because knowing more about the story now, it's like you really can't think about it more. Was Concord bad just because of Culture Wars or some real reason? I have no clue. But apparently it was super bad. But I think it was specifically something about the space that it was in. There's like I find hero shooters tend to not be very good to make or play because you almost always have to deal with a lot of team stuff and you have to deal with a lot of people there. But at the same time, the gunplay looked a lot better than Overwatch. So at least my friend, when he told me about it, he was like, he really enjoyed the gunplay. But then it's like, why play the hero shooter when you can play anything else now? It's strange. Or why play the hero shooter when you should just play Overwatch 1 and 2? Well, Overwatch 2 now. But yeah, that was the most that I got from it. Apparently it was really bad. I'm just going to trust the general consensus because I'm a follower and not a leader. I didn't care much about the character designs, though I recognize the character designs. They did feel very uninspired in many ways, so. Like you know what's funny? Concord, I genuinely thought was a Marvel game. Which apparently it isn't. But when I saw the character designs, I was like, wait, did they make a Guardians of the Galaxy hero shooter? I was like, this seems strange. That the for maximum gaslighting, yep. Te, what does te mean? Goddamn, chat must look so cursed in your end. You can't fathom how you can even read messages and have them form something coherent in your mind. So what's funny is that it's why you see me, it's why you hear me read in such a staggered format. Because I try to read it and I can't read it. So very often I'll just sort of pause on certain things. Like, okay, even the word yo. The word yo is just a picture of Hana Oo who I didn't know is now a porn star. So I didn't. But like all these emotes, like it really is just a mess. That's what I see when you type yo. That's what I see. It's an animated GIF of her putting her fingers up and being like, yo. It's just there's just so much going on. So yeah, if you hear me stuttering to like trying to figure out what's like going on, this is why. In a way, what's funny is I've heard it described as emojis are whatchamacallit. It's a reinvention of hieroglyphics, and that the newer generations have just rediscovered hieroglyphics. And so if you go into anybody's Twitch chat, it's just people talking in hieroglyphics. There's no meaning. What do you mean now? Well, I don't know. I don't know these people. So I'm very normie. This is the thing that really got to me, okay? I'm very normie. So when we were having Hot Pot, right? My friends kept asking me about streaming, and they were like, "How do you keep talking for so long?" They're like, "How do you talk so much?" Because they all know that I stream, and it got me thinking. Like, yeah, I don't really think of streaming as like me being on the internet. I just kind of think of it as me just hanging out. Like, I have a very different approach to the entire concept, but I'm also very normie, so I don't know these figures. Like, I learned a lot of this stuff from you, chat. Like, especially these videos. Okay, I would have never found these videos if it wasn't for you, chat. Wait, is this the one? Okay, not that one. Is what other videos do we have? Like this one? No, that's the Steam Ham. Sorry. I showed you guys that one. Apparently, Steam Hams got really popular. Like this, or like okay, I will admit though, some things are mine. Some things are mine, like this. But I will say that that's just funny, okay? Or this. I mean, this is a deep cut movie scene. This is a very, very hard to explain movie scene. If you have no clue what this movie is and you weren't there as an Asian person, as a very sort of like, if you weren't there, it's very hard for you to like understand this. Oh man. Let me tell you, you feel super normal whenever I talk about something VTuber related, as in successful ones, not just VTubing as a concept. That is fair. That is fair. Yeah. Today is Friday in California. I have that video somewhere. Wait. I have that video. Today. I love this. Oh man, I love that clip so much, so much. They just pulled it up in 5 seconds. I have so many videos saved, chat. I have so many videos saved. Just random videos. I will say I showed you all of this. This was my fault. There's a lot. There's a lot. Oh, I have this now too. This was a great one from Northern Lion Stream. Oh man. Okay, you know what? Maybe we share equal responsibility for the amount of brain rot, right? Because I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who is like you're not the only one who is I'm not as normie as I think I am compared to the average. I just believe that I am, but I'm actually not. When I even though I have things like this. You hope that I saved the Dorito Taco Bell shell clip. I wanted to, but I wasn't sure about copyright. You have to move soon, so Satisfactory server will probably have to wait. Yeah. No worries. Trust me, I won't even have time to play in that server for a very long time. Anyways, look at them cooking a Bulbasaur. Look at them cooking a Bulbasaur. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's a really cool mobile game called Pokemon TCG Pocket. Pokemon Trade Carding Game Pocket. It's a really great game. You just get to pull card decks every single day, and you get to pick out cards. My decks are very funny. I can't show it to you because it's under my real name. But people are liking my display of cards a lot. Found a channel on Twitch with retro commercials only. Was fun. Was it Great Sphinx or something? I I check out that channel often. Great Sphinx has a great channel where they do it's weird. It's both retro like commercials of everything, games or just stuff, as well as really old TV shows. Sometimes they show Star Trek, and I don't know how they do without getting DMCA'd, but maybe that's the ultimate secret. You know? Let's just listen to this for a bit as I pull some cards. I'm gonna pull some cards. Okay? Do you want to hear it, chat? I got a Minchino. I got a Woolo. I got a Scorch. I got a Rattata. I got Chansey. I pulled a Mewtwo, actually. One of my first cards was a Mewtwo X. I'm cracked, as the kids say. Look, you can have a little bite and a bedtime soon as well. No worries. I'm gonna pull one more deck. Then we're gonna go into the actual festivities of today. I've talked for too long. You can tell I've talked for too long because my voice is starting to die and you can kind of hear it. Again, my voice isn't used to talking so much, so I have to get used to it again, but it's not really happening. I got 2 Lieutenant Surges. This is amazing. I can make a funny deck now. But I appreciate all of you for showing up again. I don't know why you're here, but I do appreciate it. It's very much appreciated. But again, no need to. If you need to sleep and take care of yourself, please do. Again, I always tell you all of this all the time. I'm here for fun, and I want you to be here for fun too. There's no obligation to follow, to sub, whatever. You know, you're not getting your value's worth anyways. The key is that you enjoy the stuff that's going on, and if you don't, you're allowed to just leave. So. And that makes me happy that people have that ability to just come and drop in and drop out. So, but I do appreciate it. It's nice to see everyone again, and I hope that all of you have been well. It's been a very long time, but we're not gonna transition off of this song. Despite how good this song is, today is sort of like a very important day. Again, we're starting with Stalker 2, going into Golden Heart. We're gonna start with a very interesting song by another band entirely. That is not the Alien. It's not the two of us, nor is it the one, you know, there's a thumbnail of a video where it's the guy from Peaky Blinders, the main actor, Cillian Murphy, I don't know how to pronounce his name anymore, with an anime girl from, I forget the anime's name. We're not going to play that song. We're playing a song called Awkward. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done this. I've lost my tabs. By Limp Bizkit. Now, Limp Bizkit is a very fascinating band. I heard them when I was younger. They had a little bit of a resurgence in the Final Fantasy game, apparently, with the headphones and stuff. Where the guy walks off and it's like chaos or something. Puts in his headphones and Limp Bizkit's playing. I really enjoy some of their songs still to this day. And this song sort of popped up in my head because I was dealing with a bunch of stuff. And when it popped in my head, I was like, oh, good. This is sort of the perfect song to start my stream back with. Because it's sort of the way that I live. It's the way that I do things. And it's how I approach shit happening around me. In the sense of, like, I don't take shit at all. So it's a very, very interesting song, too. Because the album that's from is called Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. I can't believe. I still don't know how they got away with the album naming to this day. And the cover art, again, is just, it's absolutely amazing. But back then, music was in a weird space where MTV censored things and the board tried to censor things. But the artist said, fuck you. And so now we've had a resurgence of just openness, which is nice. But please do enjoy My Way by Limp Bizkit from the album Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. It's very funny that everyone, because I also suffer this too. I was busy doing song stuff as well while I was off. It's funny how everyone tries to end their song, but it's very hard to find a good ending. So you just kind of keep going with it. But also, it does sound nice to sort of send it off slowly like that. It's weird how life kind of goes. Again, a lot of things happen. It's fascinating how, like, the very few things that have been positive have been, you know, my wife, Missy, and Mike Tyson's ass this whole week. So those have really been the highlights of my life these past 2 weeks. Not to say that it's been, like, awful, but I always sort of need to remind myself to be softer on myself and to recognize that,
you can't bottle things up, and you need to sort of take care of things as they come, and you need to manage these things as they come. Because honestly, it's weird how listening to the song as a teenager, it felt a lot like teenage angst. Now as an adult, it feels a lot like the same thing, but with adults. Then you start to realize, wait a minute, most of the adults that you see outside, they're very much just teenagers at heart, and with all of that comes with a level of maturity as well. And you sort of realize, hey, yeah, a lot of people really don't. They really don't get better. They really don't get better. What the fuck? Markiplier is live. What the fuck do you mean Markiplier is live? Well, holy shit, Chef, Markiplier is live. Oh my god. Shit, he's live. Okay, maybe I'm gonna stop stream soon. Maybe I'll stop stream soon and I'll just start watching like Markiplier by myself. I'll have him on the side as we play some Stalker 2, okay? But yeah, that song is always fascinating to me because, again, it feels like teenage angst as you grow older. You have those same frustrations with other people too. The ways that they treat the world, the ways that they treat you. Things don't really change, but all you can really manage is your reaction to it. Obviously, I think my reaction would have changed very much, especially with the messages of the song. Back then, I would have thought more of it as being about, I guess, like a disappearance of self. But now I recognize, well, maybe they really did just mean walking away from it, letting them face the consequences of their own actions, you know? That song still sticks in my head a lot. It's a great song from a band and an album that's called Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water. Oh man. Anyways, I had to be right back. So can you guys listen to Markiplier? I'm so sorry. The music was really good, but I forgot what I needed to do. So just listen to Markiplier, and I'll be right back in just a moment. I need to get some water and to get things ready. So uh, 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 BRB water. Enjoy Markiplier live. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. BRB. Okay, how do you all enjoy listening to Markiplier? We're gonna go on to Stalker 2 now. It is funny to think that Markiplier went live. It's weird. He rarely ever goes live, and it's weird because it's just strange to see him ever live. And I feel like I always get to see the end of it, but I always wonder what he does live. We're gonna go on to some Stalker 2. As a forewarning, my computer might crash. I have no clue. My computer is probably pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this game. Of like what you need to play this game. So there's no guarantee that it'll be smooth. I had to quickly run upstairs. Sorry, breath. Okay. So just be warned. If I crash, the stream will come back. Now look into the void. As I set this up. Sorry. I'll be back in just a moment. I have no songs left to play for you. I'm gonna go get some water, and we're gonna do one game to send things off for today. We're gonna play this one for super long, but I saw this game still looked pretty interesting, so it might go even longer. Who knows? I did say today was gonna be a longer day, just because, or like a later day, just because of everything going. But we'll see how it goes. For now, I'll leave you with some just background music in the meantime, and I'll be right back in just a moment. BRB. I hope you enjoyed that very small break in between. My voice is still kind of tired. Oh my god, chat, there are so many podcasts on Spotify. What is this? Tales of the Stinky Dragon? What is this? Tales from the Stinky Dragon. What is this shit? Okay, never mind. Sorry, that's a Spotify ad. We're gonna move on to this next game, which I guarantee you none of you have ever heard, and I've only just found this because of a Steam recommendation. It's called Golden Heart. I have no clue how to explain this one, but it is an old school RPG. Another game, yes. Definitely not my mod. Another game. Can you explain to me why you have multiple accounts again? Was it just because you're lazy to sign in? Like, why do you not want to sign in into the same device twice? Why do you subject yourself to having to make multiple accounts and sign into each different account on each different platform? Do you enjoy hurting yourself? Anyways, this game is so fresh, by the way. It doesn't even have a Twitch category. So, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting game. You don't know who I'm talking about. Sorry. Sorry, you're definitely not the same person. Give me a moment to set things up, and we'll get right into it. This is your only account. But that's it for me. Thanks for showing up again today, chat. Appreciate it. Nice to see you all again. Sorry it took so long. Life was a bit crazy. It's still a bit crazy. I'm still dealing with things. I can't talk while saying things. But hey, it's good. My wife and I are fine. Family's fine. So Missy's good too. Missy's fine. Everyone's fine. The key is that everyone's fine, so we're dealing with it. But yeah, life is just tough, but we'll get through it. Appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next time. Appreciate all of you showing up. And if you want to know when I'm actually going to be on, go to the Discord, because I get to gaslight all of you live, which is funny to me. I enjoy gaslighting you all by saying I'm going to stream a certain day, and then on my Discord saying, haha, JK. But you'll know then what time. As well, it's a place where you actually get to keep up with me, even though I'm gone. I try my best to post, but again, I was kind of busy. But now that I'm back, I can get to do more. I'll be a bit more consistent with more daily things, but also a bit more consistent with content in general. I kind of want to see and push it a bit. And again, I've changed my mind about the programming on stream. Honestly, genuinely, like because remember when we tried it before? I genuinely tried it. It was just too hard. I'm just not made for programming on stream while talking to people. It's too distracting. But when I do it offline, just recording myself and narrating over it afterwards, it's a lot easier. Genuinely. So you'll see VODs of that soon with the sandbox stuff once I edit them down a little bit. So you'll get the gist of what I'm doing. That's how you get content updates about the game. So good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Thanks for showing up. Get out of here. Do your own stuff. I don't know. Just live your life. I'm gonna go eat and take a shit.